Seriously? Okay, and we're off. Hey guys, 6 Plus Stevo here, with a Q&A video for you, and the announcement of the winner of the competition to win these 5 Black Reach Orc knobs. These are actually, I've got to say, I've used quite a few of these. I've used the proper set of knobs and these, and I've combined bits of both of them. This is quite a versatile kit, although it is basically snap fit. You just stick the head on and the arm. There's very little posability and stuff. If you're a bit of a dab hand with conversions and stuff, there's nothing stopping you sawing arms off, and I've done it with quite a few of mine. I've used the bodies for these to make big mechs, and mixed in other parts from other kits, so not actually a bad little set. Or you can just build them as 5 basic knobs. They're full-sized ones as well, not like the upgrade ones you get in the boys kit. So hopefully they'll be of use to whoever wins this competition. But we'll do that at the end, because to enter the competition you had to ask me a question, which I'll answer on this show right now. For each question, now some people ask multiple questions, and that's fine. I will answer all your questions, but you still only will have 1 entry into the draw. So what I'm going to do, as I answer the questions in number order, no expense spared. The professionalism is off the scale for this one. I will take the number, screw it up, pop it in the cup as I go through the questions, just so you can see there's no foul play or it's fixed in any way. And then at the end I will pull one out and we'll see who the winner is. And then if you do win, I will either, if I do have your contact details already, I'll get in contact with you. If not, you get in contact with me, we'll figure something out, and I'll post them off to you free of charge. But anyway, I've been looking forward to this actually. I was going to leave it a bit longer to get more questions, but the questions you guys have asked me, I just sort of couldn't wait to answer really. So I just want to crack on and let's take it away. So question number 1. Number 1 is from Big Mech Dan Skull, and he asks, here's one question for the Q&A. If GW were to release a dedicated Orc terrain kit, do you think it would sell as well as their current range? Or because of the nature of Orc players / collectors, are we happy to just Orcify their current terrain and build terrain from scrap? That's an awesome question. So if GW were to release a dedicated Orc terrain kit, yeah, I think it would sell. I think it would sell. It wouldn't sell, in my opinion, not even my opinion, it's just fact, isn't it? It wouldn't sell as well as like the Imperial stuff. But I think it would sell in decent numbers. And depending how they built it, if they made it in such a way where there was lots of bits and stuff, and you could use those to convert, you know, add on to vehicles and bits as well, Orc players would go crazy for that. And it would be cool to have some good Orky terrain. I've always liked the sort of desert hut sort of things that they used to feature in like the White Dwarf magazines and stuff. And I've been recently looking for those. They look quite easy to build, but I'm a bit burnt out on building terrain lately. There's other companies that make great terrain kits for the Orcs, the Cromlech stuff, which I will definitely be getting for my terrain. Is astounding. The MDF kits that come, they've got barracks, watchtowers, bunkers, walls, all sorts of stuff, and it just looks incredible. So I will definitely be getting some of that. But if GW to release it, it's GW, so it'd probably be fairly pricey, wouldn't it? But they do make amazing quality stuff, and I imagine they would make some really cool stuff. So I'm always up for more Orc stuff, so it would be cool if they did do that. Who knows when the new codex comes out? I wouldn't hold your breath, but we could see some of it. They make stuff for Elder, don't they? they do elder terrain bits. I've seen some of the bits they do for them. I didn't like them though. The sort of vine things and the plants, the Death World foresty sort of looking things. I thought they looked a bit crap myself, and overpriced for what they were. They just looked a bit, I don't know. I didn't like them anyway, but that's just my opinion. But in terms of, I think as Orc players, we are usually happy to convert and kit bash stuff. And like you say, you can just take the Imperial stuff and Orcify it, slap stuff all over it, and you know, that works quite well because Orcs will take stuff over and build it out of the scrap of other stuff. So also as well, Orcs are I see more as an attacking force usually. Obviously you do have Imperials coming in and attacking Orc worlds and things and stuff, and Orcs do settle in places and that, but they don't settle for very long usually. They're usually on the move and leading a big war and a rampage through somewhere. So even if you do collect Orcs and that is your only army, having an Imperial terrain works quite well because you say the Orcs are attacking it. So I think Imperial terrain is always going to be their biggest seller. But good question, Big Mech. Like it. Question number 2 is from Idic Beer, the main man himself. Are there any YouTube channels that are no longer around that you miss? This is a great question. I know you, Idic Beer, were missing Fritz's channel, like a lot of us were, so it's cool to see him back. But yeah, there are a few actually. There's one channel, Joey Berry. I don't know if any of you are familiar with her. She hasn't made any videos or done anything for a good couple of years now. But her channel was really cool, totally different to anything else I've really seen. She added loads of comedy and stuff in there, and made sort of spoof videos and things. And yeah, she was just another sort of good YouTuber that was quite down to earth and had a good style and something quite different. So yeah, her channel was really cool. There was also Wargaming Live. I don't think they're no longer around, but they haven't done anything for quite a while. I like their channel. The two Irish guys, I think one of them used to be on Beasts of War. I like their laid back style as well. Just two mates sitting in the living room, chatting and answering questions and stuff about the hobby. And they're quite down to earth. They go off topic most of the time, but they're so laid back they just don't really care. They just talk about what they want to talk about. And I think because they're so laid back, they're not really bothered about keeping a schedule or whatever. They'll make videos when they feel like it, and when they don't feel like it, they won't do them, which is fair enough. So I don't think they've really gone away, but I'm missing their content because as soon as it comes up, I'll watch it and enjoy it. And it's been quite a while since they've uploaded a video, so hopefully they'll get back on that soon. Question number 3 is from Philip Strand, and he asks, as a new player, how many boys should I get at minimum in a 500 or 1000 point list? I guess the competitive answer is as many as possible, but it would be nice to take a break in painting with some other models, not including the ones you mentioned might get a new kit. Well, Philip, the short answer to that is however many you want. It's your army. Don't let anyone tell you how to play your army or that your army's wrong in any way. It depends really on what you want from your army. If you want it to be competitive at the moment, then yes, as many boys as you can squeeze in as possible, really. Boys before toys. But are you building a competitive list? Do you want to be ultra competitive? In a 500 point list, there's whoever you're playing against is going to be facing those same heavy restrictions as you, because a 500 point game is very small. You see, you're very limited in what you can fit in there, and no matter who you're playing, they're going to be facing some really tight restrictions as well. So they're not going to have everything they want in. So they're not 500 points, really difficult to get a balanced army. You're always going to leave yourself weak somewhere. Even a 1,000-point list, usually you have to leave some stuff at home, and you're going to leave yourself weak in one area, whether your heavy support is a bit light, or you don't have enough anti-tank, or you're lacking, you know, the fast attack choices to grab objectives and things like that. That you can only squeeze so much in these small lists. So in a 500-point list, I don't know, I'd just say do whatever you want. What I would say with boys though is try to keep them in large mobs. So don't have multiple small squads of boys. Boys don't work well in small squads. Use your grops for that. Squeeze in some grots in a 500-point list, because you can get loads. They can be your objective grabbers, and then your boys can get on with what they do best, kicking teeth in. So yeah, my answer is competitively squeeze as many in as you can. But if you want it to be fun and you want to paint other stuff, then stick killer cans in there, stick death dreads in there, you know, trucks and whatever else you want to squeeze in there, and go for that. But yeah, as many as you want, you know. Have none. Have no boys at all. Fill it up with knobs and mega knobs and death dreads and cans, and just have fun with it. Who knows, you might stumble across a list that is really good. So yeah, hope that answers your question, Philip. Question number 4. You know, I've just noticed as well, annoyingly, I did a little test run on this before I started filming. I've got my microphone above the phone, and I've just seen that it's not plugged in. So I'm really hoping the sound quality on this is okay. Should I stop the video and plug it in? No, I'm going to persevere and continue and hope that this has come out well. Kicking myself. Anyway, where were we? Question number 4, Wet in the Cup, is from Peninsula Painting Projects. My question to you is, what type of TV series are you into? Cool question. I like these sort of questions. I don't watch a lot of TV, certainly lately anyway, with me doing this channel, and even before that, I do tend to, I've got children, they take over the telly throughout the day, and then in the evening the missus likes to watch soaps and stuff, and her reality programs and things. She's got her programs that she likes to watch, but there are some programs we like to watch together. The big one is obviously Game of Thrones. Who doesn't like watching that? Game of Thrones is just literally, it's got to be the best thing that's ever been put on telly. It's just got everything. Game of Thrones, I was a little bit late to it. I think I started from the beginning, but I started watching series 1 when I think series 3 was coming to an end, because I thought, right, let's see what all the fuss is about, see what everyone's going on about. And I was hooked instantly, and I think I watched series 1, 2 and 3 in the space of like 2 weeks. Just binge watched them and couldn't get enough of it. Game of Thrones is just astounding. If you have never watched it yet, what the hell are you doing? Get the box set now, download it, do whatever you need to do, watch it, and watch it from the beginning all the way through. It's just incredible. That to me is quality television. High budgets, good acting, amazing storytelling, good special effects, brilliant story, imaginative stuff. And like the battles and stuff that go on, it's like Lord of the Rings scale, huge battles and things going on, and that's the sort of stuff I like watching on telly. But yeah, there are other programs I like. The Flash is a good one. I like The Flash. Because I haven't watched much telly lately, I'm actually really behind on that. I've got that recorded on the Skybox. I think I'm about halfway through series 3, and I think series 4 has just started, so I've got a lot of catching up to do on The Flash. What else do I like to watch? Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is just brilliant. I love Rick and Morty. It is absolutely hilarious. If none of you have watched Rick and Morty, watch it. If you're into your sci-fi stuff and movie references, and it's just hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious. I think it's the best animated things since The Simpsons, which is another one. The Simpsons, love that. It's been like one of my favourite programmes since it came out in like the late 80s. Love The Simpsons. It's taken a bit of a dip in recent years, I think. I think it's weird because I see it sort of trying to copy Family Guy now, which is bizarre to me because Family Guy kind of copied The Simpsons, or took inspiration, at least heavy inspiration, from The Simpsons. And Family Guy I think it's funny. It is really funny, but it doesn't have that same magic that The Simpsons had. The Simpsons was always so much more than just a comedy. It was so cleverly written. The comedy and the gags in it were great, but it had a depth to it, and there was like some of the older episodes had like messages and stuff, and you had some quite sort of sweet moments and some kind of thought-provoking moments and stuff in there as well, in amongst all that comedy. And there was just so much depth to it. It just worked on so many levels. It's really, when anyone ever tells me I don't like The Simpsons, I instantly lose a bit of respect for them, and I kind of think, you're not my sort of person. You know, so apologies if none of you like The Simpsons. What else do I like? I've got back into WWE lately. Watched WrestleMania the other night as Peninsula Painting. I know you did as well. It was brilliant. I haven't watched a WrestleMania for quite a few years, but it was great. It's cool because my young boy, he's getting really into it now. He's a big John Cena fan, and so through him I've sort of got back into it again. And telling him about all the Attitude Era stuff, like Stone Cold and The Rock and D-Generation X and stuff. And yeah, I know it's all fake and I know it's all thing, but it's just entertaining. It's a great quality entertainment show, and if you don't take it seriously, it's just fun. And you got to have massive respect for those guys and girls that do these like every week, these incredible stunts and things that they put their bodies on the line for, and it's quality. So yeah. Hope that answers your question. That's just a few things. There's quite a few programs I like and that, but don't get to watch that much telly these days. So where are we now? Question number 5. Well, this is 3 questions, and this is from Wolf Brother Mythos from Frost and Fists. Those guys are great. Frost and Fists, your channel's awesome. I predict really good things for you guys. So, for your Q&A, I pose questions 3. I like it. So question number 1. What is your favourite project you've ever completed? That's a good question. I had to, before I set this up actually, I was thinking about my answers to these questions. And I had to have a good think about that one. I think though, it's probably my most recent one is all the terrain that I've made for my Orc Desert terrain. Because that was a lot of work went into that, and because it's like not out of a kit or anything, it's just completely built from scratch from me, from polystyrene and MDF and polyfiller and paint and PVA and just raw materials, and it's just totally my creation. I got tips and stuff. I watched things like the Terrain Tutor and things like that, and getting tips and stuff. But I think because I just built that up from nothing, that's probably my proudest project that I've completed. In terms of like models, units and stuff though, the sad thing is I don't have these anymore because they're from back in the day when I played before. But my monolith I was very proud of. Painted that up, and it took quite a while though. It's a very simple model, just a lot of flat panels and stuff. It was my first real one where I really got down with like edge highlighting and stuff, and picked out some of the details and stuff, and it just popped. It just looked so good. I remember once me and a friend went to Games Workshop in Brighton. They were holding like some kind of special Apocalypse event. I think it was around the launch of Apocalypse, and they said bring like one unit, and you can join in this massive game. In the end, it ended up being a horrible experience. It was just loads of screaming teenagers and youngsters running around. Me and my mate were terrified our models were going to get crushed. The organisers ran it really poorly. Maybe that's a topic for another video though. But I remember there was quite a few monoliths out on the table, and painted to varying degrees, and I took mine out and put on the table, and all the Necron players just jaws dropped, and they were like, wow. And that was a good feeling. You know, I was standing there feeling quite smug for a bit, and it's just a good feeling, isn't it, when you take out something you've worked that hard on and put it out, and people are just like, whoa, like it was. Yeah, it was a good feeling because it did look really good. Also, the Deceiver, I really went to town on him. Most of my Necron army looked really good in my opinion, but it was very simple to paint. It was dry brushing, ink washing, and just simple techniques. But the Deceiver, it was the first model I really went to town with inks and layers, and I must have used about 7 different coloured inks on him to get all different tones in to get this sort of magical looking quality to him. He was gold, but his ribbons that come down were sort of green, but then they blended up into, again, first time I ever worked with any blending things. So it blended up from green into gold, and then as the ribbons sort of formed into him. But he had sort of like a purple tones and just also, I was really proud of that model actually. So yeah, they're my most proud projects. Question number 2 from Wolf Brother Mythos is, what hobby skill or technique have you learned that you're most proud of? I'm not sure because I'm not the best painter. I think I do a good tabletop standard. I'm not up to the standard of some of you guys out there, and I don't think I ever will be. One that I'm most proud of, I don't know, because I don't know if I'm proud of learning the techniques, because when you show someone a model and they've never painted or they don't know the hobby or whatever, they just look and they go, wow, you know, how did you do this bit, and how did you do that, how did you get this like that? And they'll say things like, how did you paint the eyes? And you think, well, the eyes are really simple. I've got a dot of green for my Necrons and just dotted the eye, and that was it. You know, that's the easy bit. It's the bits like getting the tone and the shading and stuff in that appears difficult, but actually for me, I wouldn't say I'm proud of any of the techniques I've learned, because the techniques I've learned are things that make it easier for myself, like dry brushing and ink washing and stuff. You know, I use the Army Painter range, and I think what I'm going to do for my orcs, what I've just started to experiment with on the first couple that I've been painting, is just literally I use the I think it's the soft tone ink, and I just paint the whole thing base coat colours and then just wash the whole model, and you can say at that point it's done, but then after that I'll go and do a little bit more highlighting and stuff. But it's just, so that is what they call it, liquid talent. So I'm not proud of it because it's just easy, it's almost cheating really, but it gets the desired effect. So I will always try and go for the easiest shortcut. I suppose, though, you say probably edge highlighting, but again, I'm not that good at edge highlighting. I find that bit quite tricky. You tend to get it sort of thicker in some parts and thinner in others. That's and it's always a hard bit because you get the model to a stage, you've base coated, you've shaded, you know, you've washed him, you know, he's basically finished, but then you want to add that last thing to make it pop, and that's the bit I always had the difficulty with, going through the edge highlights. And sometimes, like with my son's Terminator Lord that I painted up from recently, I started doing the edge highlighting, and then when I was halfway through, I was like, you know what I've done? I've ruined it. I should have just not bothered and just left him as he was, because he looked good like that. So yeah, I've still got a little bit to learn with edge highlighting, I think. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm really proud of any of the techniques. I'm proud of what I what I do, what I paint. So third question from Wolf Brother Mythos is, man behind the hobby, what kind of bands do you like to listen to? I like hip hop, predominantly old school hip hop. I love the 80s and 90s stuff. I love things like Dr. Dre, Biggie Smalls, probably one of my all-time favourites. Tupac, obviously. All those guys. I'm going way back even further. People like Public Enemy, Rakim, some of the real old school sort of pioneers of hip hop. I love hip hop. I hate what it's become. I don't like the new stuff that's coming out by most of the new artists. Most of what I hear now is either crap or just all shades of average and just very disposable. I don't think anyone's really going to remember it fondly years from now. I think the artists now, a lot of them have forgotten or don't show respect to the people that, preceded them. And I think for anyone in any kind of, whether it be music or whatever, you show respect to the people that came before, that inspired you. And obviously music evolves and changes, and I'm nearly 40 now, so the music that's coming out now isn't for me. I'm not meant to like it, is the way I see it. So I would say it was crap. The same way that my dad used to bang on the ceiling and turn that shit off. But it's not just that. I'm not closed-minded with music. I like all sorts of music. I like again from sort of 90s and 80s. I love the old rock stuff, and like a lot of the more modern rock stuff as well. I like Guns N' Roses. I went to see Guns N' Roses in concert once, and that was just incredible. Seeing Axl Rose on there, that was probably still the best concert I've ever been to. Also saw Snoop Dogg in concert in Manchester. That was amazing. That was quality. What else have I seen in concert? I've seen a few concerts. I saw Limp Bizkit in concert. I'm a big Limp Bizkit fan. I know they get a load of stick and people say they're crap, but because I like hip hop and I like rock, I love that sort of mashup of like hip hop and rock together. I like a lot of other rock stuff as well. I like Five Finger Death Punch. I don't know if any of you know that band. Really cool band. I discovered them not that long ago, actually, only a few years back, and they're just their music sort of blew me away. I thought they were great. I love the lyrics and stuff in it. But I like chilled stuff as well. Sometimes if chilling out in the garden on a sunny evening, I like listening to some Jack Johnson. Really laid back, mellow stuff. Predominantly hip hop and rock, but I like old school dance and stuff. And I love the old classics as well. All the music that I used to hate when I was growing up, my dad used to play, I actually really like now. Bands like T-Rex, Queen. I love listening to some of that old stuff that was way before my time, but I can respect it and I enjoy it for what it is. All sorts really. I think music's a funny thing, because I think a lot of people are quite closed-minded with music. They will pick a genre and stick to it, and everything else is crap. Or they will pick a genre that they don't like, and they'll just never even listen to anything with an open mind. I'll always try and listen to anything with an open mind, and I'll hear stuff like, I'll listen to something sometimes on the radio or whatever, and it's like from a genre that I would usually have nothing to do with, but every now and again something pops up and is like, wow, that's a really good song actually. And I've got a few guilty pleasures as well, which we won't go into, but I've got some things that I probably wouldn't play too loudly in the car in case anyone heard, but there are some certain songs and pop songs and stuff that I do like, those guilty pleasures. But yeah, hope that's answered your questions, Mythos. So where are we now? Question number 6. Now this one's got to be lucky. 6+. Lucky number 6, there you go. And this question is from Steve Collects. Q&A. What was your first experience with Games Workshop, i.e. come across a store, friends' models, etc. And what was it about that experience that made you want to try it out? Well, Steve, as you know, I already commented on this question saying that I've basically already answered this in a previous video about my personal history of Games Workshop. And I think still up till now, in my short career as a YouTuber, that's my most proudest video I've made actually. It's one I had in mind for a long time, one I really wanted to nail and get right, and the feedback from that was great. And it's the one I probably enjoyed doing the most actually, talking about my memories and stuff, and nostalgia about the old days of Games Workshop leading up to today. But yeah, it was just to sort of answer it briefly again for anyone that hasn't watched that video. HeroQuest got me into Games Workshop, as I think it did a lot of people of my age. and yeah, from there it just kind of, you know, the different games that come out, and yeah, that got me into it. So didn't think, I never came across a store. I think the first time I went to a Games Workshop store, I was already fully aware of who Games Workshop were and everything. Yeah, my experiences in Games Workshop stores themselves, yeah, not always positive, I don't think. I think, although I don't hold it against them, they try and upsell you. They do try and upsell you, as a lot of the stores do, and I can appreciate that, because they probably lose a lot of business to like online and stuff and that, and I think it must be hard even for independent stores as well. Only just the other day I went into an independent store looking for the Necron Codex, asked if they had it in stock, and he said, no, we don't have it in stock at the moment, we just sold the last one. So, oh, okay, never mind. He said, oh, we do have this one though, and offered me the Drukhari Codex, and I'm like, well, no, that's a completely different army, why do I want that? It looks really cool, I like Drukhari. My brother-in-law collects Drukhari, or Dark Elder as I like to call them, but they do try and just sell you anything sometimes, and I don't like the hard sell, and that puts me off. As soon as someone's trying to sell to me hard, I'm going off topic. This is completely not what you asked me at all, is it? But yeah, so I don't really have really fond memories of Games Workshop stores themselves, other than just drooling over all the kits and the display cabinets and stuff and the tables. What was it about the experience that made me want to try it out? Just the all of it, the imagination, the creativity. I was an imaginative child. I loved movies and stuff, and this sort of brought the movies and fantasy and the books and stuff alive for me, and there's just so much to love about this hobby, hence why I made that very personal video about it. So I hope that answers your question again, Steve. Thanks for asking it. Question number 7. This is from Love Minis, and they ask, I was about to say he, but I don't know if that's he or she, I don't know, so I will just say they. So Love Minis asks a few questions here. What are FAQs and where do I get them? FAQ stands for Frequently Asked Questions, and where you get them is from the Warhammer community site, and they're basically questions that players asked about the rules and written into Games Workshop, or emailed them or contacted them, or whatever, and they answer like very commonly asked questions, just rules clarifications and things like that, and maybe when certain rules and things conflict with each other and it's causing a bit of confusion, and GW sort of address that by releasing these FAQs just to clear up sort of certain rules and things that are unclear. So hopefully that's made you clear on what FAQs are. So yeah, Warhammer community site, you can download all the FAQs there and clear up a lot of rules and things that you might not be clear on. Another question you ask is airbrush or paintbrush, which is best to paint an army with? I think in airbrush, but I have never used an airbrush. I'm very old school, because I've only just recently got back into the hobby. And when I sort of left it mostly towards the end of 5th edition, we didn't really have all these sort of airbrushes and these new paints and stuff on the scene, these new types of different paints and things that they've got. So I'm very old school. I like to sort of spray all the models black and work up from a black base coat and just paint with base coat colours, dry brushing, shading and highlighting, and I just sort of do those basic old school techniques. The paints I've got, because when I came back into the hobby, I really discovered that all the paint ranges had totally changed. The names of the colours, because I used to do with GW colours, but I've actually chosen to go with Army Painter because I like the sort of old school sort of way of doing things, because it's what I know. I didn't want to have to learn all new techniques. Probably I will at some point. Airbrush do look very useful for a lot of things, but I'm just totally unfamiliar with it, so I just haven't touched on that yet. I've sort of stuck with what I know, at least to start with. But yeah, I think gets you to a sort of another level of quality, and I think there's a lot to say for airbrushes, and I know a lot of people speak highly of them, but for me it's just paintbrush, old school. Another question from the same subscriber is, what methods are best to remember the stratagems for your army? Well, if you're an Orc player, it's quite easy because we don't have many of them. We got the ones from the rulebook and the ones from chapter approved. So we've got a total of 5 stratagems. So it's actually quite easy for us to remember them because we don't really have any. But yeah, I imagine I've looked through like the list of stratagems in Reroll Joe's like Dark Angels Codex and Chaos Codex, and there's a lot of them. So there's a lot to learn and a lot of different ways you can use them and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of rules and things you can sort of forget while playing. What I tend to do when I write my army list for battles and things, to remember certain things that are sort of part of my strategy and stuff, because I kind of have a strategy in mind before we play the game. I will sort of just note down the names of the stratagems somewhere on the list. The same I do with like psychic powers for my weird boys. I like write what they have, so it jogs my memory mid-game, because when you're in the heat of battle it's quite easy to forget things and stuff. But I think I know you can get like the cards and stuff now which have them in, which that could be quite useful to have them laid out and see them, or just yeah, but I would sort of plan what ones you would like to use in any said game and have them noted in your book if you're going in with a strategy, and that way you can just see the thing and go, oh yeah, I want to use that, and if you need to read it up you can go back to the rule book and check up on it. But that's what I would do anyway. But yeah, there's a lot of them in the codexes, so that's quite a good question actually, the methods for remembering them and stuff. And I think just experience and using the stuff, you'll start to learn and use your favourite ones, and you'll probably end up using a lot of the same ones. But there'll be good things to experiment with, I think, because the stratagems are a great thing for the game. They offer a whole new wealth of strategy and opportunities and different ways to play. Another question from the same sub is, since you have 2 armies, do you ever play a game by yourself? No, I don't. I've never done that. I wouldn't enjoy doing that. I know some people do things like that, and I think there's like these board games and role-playing games and stuff that people can play like one player. It doesn't appeal to me. I think part of the fun of it for me is playing, and having fun and competing against someone. I have played like I have done little tests with like a unit against a unit and stuff, and to try out different things just on my own. Like in the past, I've just rolled a few dice and tested out little scenarios just for testing purposes, but never played a full game. Perhaps when I was a kid with like Hero Quest and Battle Masters and stuff, I probably did that. In 2nd edition when I was a kid, with me Space Marines and Orcs, but that was I did play a game by myself then, but that was more going like pew pew pew, running them around and literally playing with them like toys. But no, I've never played a game of 40k by myself. And last question you ask is, how can you know who your army can ally with? Well, I think you can pretty much ally with anyone, really, if you have, if you're using allies and stuff. But there's several ways you can look at this. If you're looking at it from a competitive standpoint, like which armies are the most ideal to ally with, obviously you've got like Imperial Soup armies, so you can have like Ultramarines and Imperial Guard and Imperial Fists all in like allied together, and they will. The benefits of that is because they're all Imperial, they will benefit from each other's like special rules and stuff, or at least a certain amount of them. And same with Chaos, 1,000 Suns and Nurgle and Chaos Soup, and so you get all those benefits and stuff. Then you've got armies like the Tyranids who won't benefit from anyone else, but you will still get the benefits. Say if you had, for example, if you had Orcs and Necrons allied, you'd get the shooty power from the Necrons and the resilience of the Necrons with the close combat capabilities and the numbers of the Orcs, so they would kind of make up for each other's shortfalls. And I think that's why a lot of people like taking allies. The only trouble with allies, and I think this is where it sort of divides the community, is that why are you taking them? I think most people take them from purely a competitive standpoint because of that reason, where it makes up for a shortfall in your army. And I think you get people taking really like an unfluffy ally. So, for example, you'd get a player rock up with Tau and Tyranids. Now, they're never, for me, that just, I don't like that. You would have to think up an incredibly good reason, like lore-wise, why that would happen. Whether the Tau have managed to, I don't know, put some sort of mind control on the Tyranids or something. But to me, it just sounds stupid. But they would do that because, again, the Tau are really shooty and probably got one of the best shooting in the game, and the Nids are probably one of the best combat specialists in the game. So they would, benefit, in that way. I don't know if that's even a remotely competitive list. It probably isn't. But just as an example, to use that, I like it if it's fluffy. I like it if it works. So you can see the Imperial ones. If you've got like Ultramarines with Imperial Guard, yeah, you've read all the Black Library novels where that happens and stuff. And of course that happens. Imperial Space Marines and stuff will come to the aid of, a beleaguered Imperial army and things. So that stuff is obvious. And the same with Chaos. And then the other things that maybe not quite so obvious but very feasible. So Orcs and Dark Elder. I see no issue with them allying. Dark Elder would manipulate them, for their own ends, and promise them riches and stuff, and all the spoils of the war. Or maybe the Orcs would just do it for we'll join them for a while, and then when we're bored of once we've wiped out the other army, then we'll kick in the Dark Elder's teeth. So there's certain armies where it does make sense fluff wise and things, and I don't really do allies unless you're playing like just games like Apocalypse, like size games, just for fun. You want to throw everything on and just have fun. Like Good Against Evil is quite good with Apocalypse. Done a few games like that in the past where you literally have one side plays all the good armies, so Marines and Tau and Elder, and the other side throws in Necrons and Orcs and Chaos, and that makes for quite a good epic battle. But yeah, hope that answers all your questions there, Love Minis. Question number 8 is from Battles in a Blue Shed, and he asks 3 questions as well. Question number 1: if you could add one thing to the new Orc Codex, be it rule or model, what would it be? Grot snipers. Definitely. I would. As soon as they come out, I'm getting them. If they come out, they'd just be cool. Grots are cool. Grots are fun. I love the little bastards, and Grot snipers would be good. And as I've said in my previous rule, I'd like to have like a special rule where they, if you roll a 1 or something, they'll shoot at the nearest unit, friend or foe, because they're just devious little bastards that can't miss the opportunity to, that Orc's been bullying him in camp and sees an opportunity to take him out. So yeah, Grot snipers is what I'd like to see in the Orc Codex for a new unit. What would you do if the new Orc Codex is underwhelming and does not help the Orcs compete with the other factions? I'd still collect them, and I'd still play them, and I'd still have fun with them. It'd be a struggle, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't disappointed. I don't think that is going to happen. I'm sure you'll see a lot of negative stuff when it does come out, and people saying, "Oh, it's not as good as it should be," or it's overpowered, or you'll probably get people saying both. And people already say both about any codex that comes out, and people have different opinions. I'm sure it will be, whether it's underwhelming or not, it will be stronger than the index. I'll be amazed if it's somehow weaker than the index. It won't be. It just won't. It'll be stronger than the index, because just if they left everything as it was, but then threw in loads of stratagems, it'd still be stronger than the index, because we've got new tactical abilities and stuff and things that buff your army. But you're going to get points drops on a lot of stuff. I think you're going to see a lot of points drops, and you're going to see a few buffs and things, and some, hopefully some new units and new special rules and things that improve our army. And another question from Battles in the Blue Shed: would you like to see an Orky equivalent to a Primarch in the new codex, or is Gazco enough? I misread that question when I first read it, because I thought, but I'll say, yes, I would like to see a prime orc. I misread the bit where he said, is Gazgol enough? I thought you meant like, you know, is it just enough that just Gazgol will be a prime orc? But I see what you're saying. You're saying, is just Gazgol as he is now enough? No, I don't think he is. I I think to compete, he needs to be bigger. And I think the lore has hinted at this for quite a while, that he is going to continue to grow and continue to be more impressive. And I think he will. But I would like it not just to be Gazgol. I would like an option to make an unnamed prime orc. And as I've said in a video before, my wish list video, the dream for me is that they release a kit that has lots of different parts in it, so you can build a standard prime orc war boss, or you have the parts in there to make Gazgol. That for me is the dream, because I like to make my own characters and stuff, and I don't play Goths, so unless they change something with Gazgol's rules, that he sort of, I'm sure if they did do that, he'd be like Gilliman, that Gilliman like has special rules that affect all the Imperium armies, but then he's got even more rules that boost Ultramarines. So if they did something like that, where just Gazgol buffs orcs, not just Goths, all orcs, which would make sense fluff-wise, but he's just a bit. I don't tend to go for the obvious choices. You know, the big bads. I like to make my own characters usually. So yeah, anyway, hope that answers your questions. Question number 9 is from Wargaming Wizard. What is your favourite childhood memory? Good, deep question this. God, it's like being at the counsellors or something. My favourite childhood memory is probably memories of like hanging out with my dad, actually. When my dad raised me, my mum scuppered, and I've sort of had a series of sort of stepmums and stuff over the years. But there was a period where, in my early teenage years, where it was just me and my dad living together, and for me that was sort of like my sort of favourite memories from my childhood, when it was just me and him. And he was working and he was busy and stuff, but we used to play a lot of games on an old computer called an Amiga 500. We used to play a lot of games on that. Me and him used to play Space Crusade, and then a bit later on we used to play on the N64 and stuff. We used to have loads of sessions of GoldenEye and stuff, and watch movies together and things. And that's just, for me, they're probably my favourite childhood memories. And then later on, like, he got married again and stuff, and life changed and stuff. And it was good, but I just have this particular fondness of when it was just me and him hanging out in them days, and doing, you know, boys stuff, you know, good stuff, computer games and movies and just all that good stuff. So yeah, they're probably my fondest childhood memories. Deep question, man. Question number 10 from Big Beard Gaming. Do you have any plans for a new army in the near future? No, I don't have any plans for a new army. That doesn't mean I won't do it at some point. No, I'm being very strict with myself. I was actually trying to be really strict with myself and literally just stick purely to orcs. But that Forgebane set was just too much damn temptation. And Necrons are awesome, and I love Necrons probably equally with orcs, just for different reasons. So no, I'm currently very happy just having orcs and a very small Necron army that will grow nicely. But I have had other armies in the past, and I do look at other armies of interest and stuff, and I do like reading about them and things. If I was to start another army, it would probably be, I like Chaos. It would probably be sort of Slaanesh themed Chaos, or I used to have a Chaos army, Black Legion army, which, you know, I really liked. I like Chaos. Dark Elder have interested me several times as well, looking at the new stuff that they've got, the new codex and the rules. I like Dark Elder. NIDs. I've had a NID army in the past, and I do like the NIDs. I like all the evil armies. I find the good guys a bit boring. Although I have toyed with the idea of doing Space Marine armies in the past, and Imperial Guard. I've got to say, I would love to have a really big, fully painted Catachan Jungle Fighters army. That was the army I originally attempted to collect when I was younger, but it's just, that's a big investment, and even like for an Orc player, that's a lot of models and stuff you got to get. Because I wouldn't go tank heavy. I would do like infantry heavy Imperial Guard army with like, you know, sentinels and stuff with it, and Ogryns in there because I like the Ogryns. But yeah, I love the Catachan Jungle Fighter range. They're just badass. They remind me of the soldiers on the original Predator movie, and that's just cool as fuck. So yeah, possibly in the future, maybe with things like Kill Team and that coming out, I would start like some small little offshoot armies and things. But yeah, probably in the future. Probably in the future, I will end up being tempted by something. Going back to Chaos and Slanesh, if they brought out a Fulgrim model, a Demon Primarch Fulgrim, I would buy that model regardless of whether I was to start an army or not, because Fulgrim is just the man. I read the Fulgrim novel, was probably my favourite one from the Horus Heresy, and Fulgrim's just fucking awesome. And then that probably would spur me on to start a Emperor's Children army. But no plans for the near future. Question number 11 is Richard Livings, and he asks, whilst you do painting, let us know the one thing that you'd wished you'd changed about your painting earlier. That probably goes back to a point I made earlier. Knowing when to stop. If I'm a bit of, even though I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I've got OCD, I do suffer with OCD. I've suffered with it a lot of years, and if something isn't quite right, it bugs me. If something's not in its place and something's not right, it drives me crazy, more angsty and stressed than it should. It's just the way I am. I've accepted it. I do try and rein it in and control it, but I do like things a certain way, and particularly if I'm working on anything, I like it to be completed in a certain way. And if there's one little thing that's not quite right with it, sometimes I make the mistake of that bugging me, and I go in and try and fix it, and then I end up making it worse. Or I've basically finished a model, he's finished and looks good, but there's one tiny little thing I think, oh, I could just do that, or I might add in, or I try another technique, or try and do another bit of highlighting over it, and it ends up not making it look better or fixing it. It makes it look worse, and then the problem just gets worse and worse, and then I ruin a well-painted model. So I need to just control myself and learn when to stop. So I would say that's my sort of regret in when I finished, painting or whatever. If that's what you meant by that question, anyway. I hope that answers it. Question number 12 from Graham Collins, and thank you, Graham, and thank you to anyone else as well who copied and pasted their questions from the video that I mistakenly uploaded, which, again, part of my OCD. My mate said to me, he said, well, it doesn't matter, does it? You only missed out the intro and the end credits. I'm like, no, because I have to have, no, it bugged the hell out of me, and I just thought about it for a few minutes. I'm like, no, I'm going to have to make the tough decision to take that one off and put in the proper version, because I had to. So sorry guys for that inconvenience. Graham Collin asks, so you want questions? Do you think that GW should bring back Nazdreg with new rules and a new model into 8th edition? We were left with his story being unfinished with an unsatisfying, and Nazdreg escaped, kind of footnote after the Fall of Medusa 5 campaign a few years back. Yes, 1,000,000%. I am a Bad Moon player. I like the Bad Moons best, and so obviously having Nazdreg back would be great. And if Nazdreg came back buffed up to fuck in the same way that Ghazghkull is potentially going to be, that would be really cool. Especially if Nazdreg was a bit more of a, if you had Ghazghkull as this sort of brutish close combat sort of version, and then Nazdreg is a bit more of a shooty version but still nasty in combat, I see Nasdrek equally viable for being built up to prime orc status, but with more mechanical and crazy gubbins going on and massive, like, super custom mega blaster strapped onto his arm, and that would just be very cool. So yes, him and other characters as well, like Zogwart, and yeah, bring back some of them old characters. Definitely. We're a bit light on the character front. We've got Gazgol, Badruck, Snickrot and stuff. Like, not Snickrot, is it Snickrot? I can't remember. I think it is. So we've got a few good characters now, but we need more. More war boss type characters, especially if we've got different rules for different clans. I think we need sort of a good character for each clan, really. Some of the clans are missing that completely. Another question from Graham Collins. When GW finally releases the new Orc Codex and readdresses the clans with their own personalities and traits, do you think they will reintroduce freebooter clans, and do you think they should? Well, freebooters clans haven't really gone away. They were in the 7th edition Codex. You know, they're mentioned in there, listed there with all the others, and listed in the index. So yeah, I think they will be there. Although, like I said before in a previous video, I don't think freebooters are. I think they will be treated as a clan, but I think in strict law terms, I don't think they're kind of like. At least, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've always understood it as they were sort of like outcasts from clans. You've got the Bad Moons, you've got your Goths, and you've got your Snakebites and that. And they've all got their sort of ways and their culture and stuff. And then freebooters were like those orcs that wanted something else, and they're just like pirates basically. They're just a ragtag bunch of pirates in space that go around and seek treasure and riches and glory. So they're very cool in their own way. They do have quite a few similarities with Bad Moons, that they like the flashy equipment and stuff and the guns, and that's where a lot of the flash gits come from. It's from the and Badruck obviously. So yeah, I don't see freebooters going away, but in terms of reintroducing, I don't think they need to, because I don't think they've gone anywhere, and I think they will be there. It'll be interesting to see what rules and specialities they have. So yeah, hope that answers your question. Okay, we're on the last question, 13. Unlucky for some, but possibly lucky for Cheddar Monkey. My question to add is, how much faster does stuff go when you paint it red? Much faster, much faster. Red ones go faster. If you believe red makes it go faster, then yes, it's going to go faster. That's just fact. In game terms, yeah, 1 inch faster. That's what it has been in the past anyway. I am sure that the evil sons in the new codex are going to get some cool rules that make them faster, or at least make their vehicles faster, and they will have some sort of special clan trait of red ones go faster, I think. So yeah, whether that be something like you don't roll for advance, you just move 6, or they get a 7 inch advance, or 1 inch extra movement, or something like that, they will be faster. And so yeah, red ones do definitely go faster. So yeah, anyway guys, there you go, that's the Q&A over. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm looking at the time on the thing, and yet again I keep making these really long videos, but let's not keep you waiting any longer. Let's see. Ooh, one fell out. Let me know. Drum roll please. Let's see who's won the Orc Knobs. Okay. There really is no expense spared on this show, is there? Number 12, Graham Collins. There you go, my friend. You have won those 5 Black Reach Orc Knobs. So well done, buddy. I'm sure you'll see this video, in which case we'll chat in the comment section, and or on the Wargamers Unification page. I think you're on there, and we'll get in contact with each other, and I'll get your address, and then I can get these packaged up and sent out to you. So well done, Graham Collins, on winning my first giveaway. So thank you again, guys, for watching. It's been a pleasure answering your questions, and I'll be back soon with more videos for you. 6+ Stevo, signing out.